Iron Maiden. The first band that got me into heavy metal. I bought this from my local supermarket when I was about
13, I think.
And it was sort of like a greatest hit CD. As soon as I started playing these songs, I was like instantly hooked. The power of Bruce Dickinson's voice, or like the and like the cool, catchy, harmonized guitars, and like the goofy lyrics on like battles that only like teenage boys care about. It was just very, very appealing to young, impressionable me. You know, people know that they were an important band, but I think they don't really understand why. What they sort of did was just take things of like what different bands were doing at the time and just sort of like honed it, and I guess did it better. They took the
twin lead guitar stuff
of like Judas Priest and Wishbone Ash, almost to the point now, like when you think of harmonized lead guitars, right? Maiden are the band that you think of. And again, speaking of Judas Priest, Rob Halford was like the first true heavy metal archetypal frontman, right? But I would say that Bruce Dickinson took that and, dare I say it, did it better. He really pioneered that whole kind of like, you know, larger than life metal frontman that's like commanding stadiums. What else have you got? You know, the mascot, Eddie, right? You know, the whole like Eddie thing and having it like recurring on all their albums. Then you think of classic heavy metal, you know, Eddie is one of the things that you think of, right? Everything about Maiden is just like synonymous with classic heavy metal. So we just skim over every album. You know, we have a little discussion about it. What makes it good? What makes it bad? Maybe, you know, shit on it a little bit if it's a crap album. And then after that, we do a tier list. And so we're going to try and achieve the impossible task of ranking every single Iron Maiden album. It's going to be an absolute fucking nightmare. So, the very first album from 1980, self-titled Iron Maiden. So, for those of you who don't know, before Bruce was in the band, they did 2 albums with a different singer. This chap called Paul Di'Anno. You really do look British as fuck, don't they? Like, violently British. I kind of look like I'm in this photo, look. You know, with the sound of a different vocalist, it's just like, it sounds like a different band, really. But it's cool that they had a more sort of like punky sound. I mean, like, the best song is probably Phantom of the Opera, right? I just don't like Paul's vocals. He just doesn't have that bravado and that power you need in this sort of music. I think my favorite is definitely the self-titled song. You know, this is a fucking classic song. I fucking love it. See, these are the sort of songs that work better with Paul's voice. More sort of like punky than metal, right? Oh! Can't complain. Then we move on to Killers, which is basically the same sort of shit, right? Just a little bit more refined. The production is a bit meatier. There's way more low end. Sounds more metal, right? I feel like the songwriting is not quite as strong on this album compared to the first one. This does have some bangers. I mean, like, the title track is by far the best song on here. That's the thing with like the Paul era. There's some real high points, but there's a lot of crap as well. Moving on. A particular scallywag named Bruce Dickinson joined the band. After Bruce joined, I just feel like the band finally reached their full potential, right? So, Number of the Beast. Imagine joining a band and just like fucking dropping this album. You know, this is one of the most like legendary metal albums of all time. It's just got so much more energy. It's just so like loud and big and has such a big dynamic range. Yeah, all Iron Maiden classics. What is that? Like, do-do-do-do. Yeah, Children of the Damned. Prisoner. Right, moving on. Peace of Mind. This is the first album with the new drummer, Nico McBrain. Just realized he looks a bit like Beaker from The Muppets. Shit. Nico really, like, added another level to the band sound. You know, it's like ding, 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 ding. So, the first song is Where Eagles Dare. It's a bit more sort of like rock and roll-y, a bit more groovy. Revelations is probably one of my favorite Maiden songs. And of course, everyone knows this one, right? Yay-ho! Right, next up, probably their most iconic album and definitely the fan favorite. The band are like back in full force. It's like the songs, like the album artwork especially. I just don't really get excited by this album anymore. It might just be because I've listened to it so damn much. So Aces High, classic. 2 Minutes of Midnight, classic. Power Slave, yes. Rhyme, yes. 2 Minutes of Midnight is probably some of the best songwriting they've ever done. This song is fucking quality, like the instrumental one. Sounds like some fucking like Dynasty Warriors like video game shit, right? This album probably has the best guitar work out of any Maiden album. Like the middle bit here is so good. So, Somewhere in Time. Now, this is kind of like the underdog album, I feel. A lot of, like, hardcore Maiden fans often cite Somewhere in Time as, like, their favorite. When I hear that, my knee-jerk reaction is to think, like, oh? But then I go back and look at the track list and I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe, actually. They just sound a bit, like, power metal-y, and I kind of love that. Pause Wasted Years. Alexander the Great. I always skip this one. I've never really been into like the historical epic. Right, moving on. Seventh Son. Whoa. Whoa. So I always flip-flop between my favorite Maiden album. Seventh Son is usually my favorite Maiden album. Harmonically and melodically, they just broke away from their norm. I mean, like, straight off the bat, this is so different. He almost sounds like a thrash singer, right? Sounds sick! Of course, you got, like, the singles. Play with madness! Seventh Son. Like the fucking choir at the start. It's so funny. Right, we move on. No prayer for the dying. So I believe this is where Adrian Smith, he left the band and got replaced by Yannick Gers, but unfortunately, they lost a bit of magic with Adrian leaving. It's just, oh my god, this album is dicey. What's cool though is that they tried something different, went back to a more sort of like raw, stripped back metal sort of style, but the songwriting just wasn't there on this one. Hail Gunner, this song is not good. Aeroplanes. Holy smoke, dude. Fucking sick song. I love this one. It's like the sort of video like me and my mates would make. Holy smoke! Actually, my favorite is easily Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. Honey, it's getting close to midnight, and all the bets are still in town. The original version of this song won a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Original Song in 1989. But they do redeem themselves. They follow it up with Fear of the Dark. Now this is a good album. This is like fucking speed metal song basically. It's so good. There it is. There it is. I fucking love Bruce's vocals on this album. You got this song which is super dumb. Just about like having sex with a motorcycle, I think. She fell in love with this squeaky machine. Funny, they follow it up with this. Wet from my brow, but it's not the fear. I do feel like this album is a little slept on. After that, our poor, dearly beloved Bruce Dickinson ceased to be with us. He didn't die. I don't know why I made it sound like he died. We got Blaze Bayley, who had a very different voice to Bruce. He has a more sort of like baritone-y voice, right? I'll be honest, like these albums, they are not good. So Man on the Edge, right? Yeah, this is the one everyone knows. It's a shame. I really like his voice. It has this sort of like dramatic urgency to it. I don't know, it just doesn't fit the band. Falling down, falling down. So, Sign of the Cross. And you got Virtual 11. This one is maybe marginally better than X Factor. It's like the songs are funnier. What is real? What is real? Future real. So, alright, this song's pretty cool, The Klansman. It's like someone missed their cue. You can hear it, like someone comes in late. Freedom! 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 Feels like they didn't really like care about these albums. They just sort of like, oh, we're just killing time until Bruce comes back. So, thankfully, Bruce came back looking a little bit like a lesbian. And not only Bruce, but Adrian Smith came back as well, but they kept Yannick. So they turned into a 3-guitar band. Brave New World, I feel, is probably one of the best comeback albums of all time. They sound revitalized, they sound refreshed, they sound inspired again. Your time will come. I think Out of the Silent Planet might be the highlight of this album. But moving on from one amazing album to another, the most infamous album artwork of all time. Good old Dance of Death. So this sort of like carries on in a similar vein to Brave New World. It has some very, very strong songs. Monster Girl, probably like the heaviest song they ever did. And Dance of Death. This probably has the best Iron Maiden solo of all time as well. Mwah. Right, moving on. Matter of Life and Death. In my opinion, there are some fucking bangers on here. Like Different World. This is another one of my favorites. This has a really cool proggy heavy riffing. Oh! My favorite is The Pilgrim. This song is fucking great. So, after that, we get to the final frontier. It's around this sort of time that I started to, like, tune out of Maiden a bit. I started to lose interest. I mean, you got this. As well, like, this album, look at the length of it. It's like 1 hour, 60 minutes. And I'll be honest, like, there's not too many songs on here that I sort of, like, really remember. Like, Eldorado, this was a single, right? I feel like maybe this is one of like the weaker albums. I love Iron Maiden to bits, but I do not want an 18-minute Iron Maiden song, alright? Let's give me some more shit like this. Well, this is cool like guitar bit in one of these. I just feel like really uninterested in like these last few Iron Maiden albums. And that leads us to the last album, Denjutsu. I do feel like this is slightly better than the last two, but it still has the same problems. Like, look at this song. It's 82 minutes long. Half the songs are like over 10 minutes. I've listened to this album 3 or 4 times, and I don't really remember anything. You know, I remember this, like the single, Writing on the Wall. I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's a bad album. Now is the main event. We are going to try and rank every single fucking Iron Maiden album ever. All right, Iron Maiden, self-titled. It's all right. I'd say it's a strong C tier. So what about Killers? I do feel that Killers is like marginally worse. Number of the Beast, one of the most legendary, iconic metal albums of all time. Where is Number of the Beast going? Ha 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 ha. Easiest tier. I don't think you can dispute that, right? Peace of Mind. The first half is like mega goated. The second half is like pretty mid. Peace of Mind is probably an A. Where is Power Slave going? Probably one of the most iconic metal album artworks of all time, right? I think it's definitely an S tier. I don't think it's as good as Number of the Beast. So, Somewhere in Time. Super into this one. It's a low S tier. I don't think we've had any other band so far that has like so many S tier contenders. All right, Seventh Son. I don't even care. So every tier list I do, I get one pick of my own. I guess I would do this. All right, at least this one's easy. No Prayer for the Dying. This is a bin tier for me. I'm sorry. All right, Fear of the Dark, though. This is a tricky one. It's probably not objectively better than Peace of Mind. All right, X Factor and Virtual 11. Yeah, I'm sorry, but they're both going in the bin. It gets more positive. Brave New World. Okay, I'm going to be brave. I honestly think that Brave New World is the best Iron Maiden album of all time. Every single song on Brave New World is amazing. All right, we'll come back and revisit the S tier later. Dance of Death. It's another S tier. Maybe here. Okay, this seems silly putting it on the top. I'm going to put it here. All right, Matter of Life and Death. Where's this going? I think Matter of Life and Death is probably a low A tier album. It's not as consistent as the ones in S. Final Frontier D. I think it's a D as well. I think same with Book of Souls as well. Yeah, I suppose they are better than these three and the Blaze Binley, but only just. I feel like Senjutsu is a tier above these two, but probably not as good as Killers, right? All right, I'm going to put Killers here as a low B behind Iron Maiden. Okay, I'm going to do this as a crowd pleaser because I know there's a lot of Somewhere in Time fans. Dance of Death is going below Somewhere in Time. This is a compromise between how I feel and I think what the general populace feels, right? So there we go, locking it in. The definitive fucking Iron Maiden tier list. Like I usually do with these, I'm just going to give you my personal opinion on what my personal Iron Maiden tier list would be. There we go. This is my personal one.